like the price that I paid. It was all for you. Countless on the Sunday, countless on life. Let your spirit fall down. Let your spirit pour down on us. Lord, remember us, even when we forget you.
Hey guys, welcome back to Image of the Invisible, the podcast. Guys, it's been a crazy week. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So I didn't record a live this past week because it was crazy busy. My other daughter's birthday was on the 7th. So this weekend was very busy for us. And Sunday, I didn't have a guest scheduled. And Phil couldn't be on the show because it was his week off. So I just decided to not do a live and just come on because I know you guys love it when I ramble. But anyways, okay, let's get to the serious stuff. So to preface this, I'm going to do a shout out to fattack.com. So make sure you go to Fattack for all your tactical needs. And right now, especially more than ever, body armor is essential. So Prime Armor makes backpack armor for kids to put in their backpacks. And guys, the worst thing imaginable happened in our county. Sorry, my voice just cracked. So we had a threat of a shooting threat on our schools this past week. So they didn't lock down the schools, which I was pretty upset about. So I went and picked up my kids from school and brought them home. And just the whole handling of the situation just was not great. The school system as a whole, I don't know, but our school was horrible. So I went and picked up my kids. When you get to the door, there's a little camera and you push the button. It's kind of like a Ring camera, I guess, and you hold up your license and then they let you in. And you tell them who you're there to pick up. So while I was there, I noticed, there's no patrol cars. So let me go back. So there's a hit list that came out. And our school was second on the list of this hit list. So I expected some sort of police presence in the area of the school. There was none, not one patrol car. So I scan my badge. I go in the school and no security guard. We have an officer that's stationed at the school. He was not there. I did not see him anywhere. There was at least 5 other parents there picking up kids the same time I was. And it was just handled very badly. So I saw my kids out. And so it took a while for them to get to the door, first of all. They were at lunch, which, it would take a little bit longer. They get there. They don't have their backpacks or anything because the doors to the classrooms are locked. And so they said they got to wait till the teachers go unlock the classrooms. So I'm like, all right, that's reasonable. Standing around 10, 15 minutes. The person that works in the office, there's like a waiting area to pick up the kids. And then there's a locked door in the office area. And she comes out and I ask, so we've been waiting here for a while. How come they can't get their backpacks? And she's like, oh, we got to wait till lunch is over. I'm like, really? You can't bother these teachers to just go unlock their doors so they can get their backpacks? I mean, this is kind of a special situation. I could understand if you're, checking your kids out to go to the doctor or something, right? But this is a very special situation where I want to get my kids the heck out of Dodge. So we wait another 5-10 minutes. Finally, they unlock the doors. The kids get the backpacks. We'll leave. In that time, though, a guy came to the door. I guess a parent. I don't know. He started pulling on the door to come in. And he finally pushes the button. Didn't show an ID or anything. They just buzz him right in. He comes in, signs the little thing, and then the office worker was like, "I need to see your ID." I mean, they just let this guy in. I mean, he could have been the shooter. Who knows? I mean, gosh, come on, use common sense here. This is our kids we're talking about. I mean, come on. Their lives are precious. You need to have some sense of responsibility to the lives of our children, to not just let someone off the street in without some sort of identification. There's a bug flying around me. Guys, I was hot. I still am, if you can't tell. So today, there was another threat that came out saying that, September 11th would be the day. So I kept my kids out of school. I was like, yeah, they're not going to school. No, I'm not putting them through that. Man, nothing happened. Thank God nothing happened. But, it is the worst feeling as a parent to have to worry about your kids. So I know that Tennessee passed a law recently that teachers can carry firearms in the classroom. When are they going to implement that, for one? Because I think now's the time. I mean, our country is going to crap. It is. And we need something in place. Arm the teachers. Then everyone would think twice about coming into school. Bad guys are the ones that have guns. The good guys who protect our kids, they have no guns. Why only let the bad guys, the villains, have weapons? Why is that okay? You make it so hard for the average person who is, like, say, the leader of the household to protect your family. But there's tons and tons and tons and tons of firearms on the street readily available for anyone to get fairly cheap, I would say. I mean, just doing a background check is not going to stop someone from buying a firearm. There has to be stricter regulations on these criminals, and there have to be looser regulations on responsible people to protect their families. I'm sorry I'm kind of going on for a rant right here, but I'm just sick of it, man. I'm sick of living in fear for my family. I mean, when the house I live in now, a week after I moved in here, there was a multiple shooting down the street from where I live. There was it's a biker bar in a strip mall for all, why, I don't know. But like 3 people were shot, like 2 people killed down the street from my house, not 2 blocks. And it's so weird because you have this biker bar and they have like a Dollar General store, Party City. You have O'Reilly Auto Parts, T-Mobile, what else? Papa John's Pizza. But there's this biker bar in the strip mall, which, why is that okay? Especially with riffraff going in and out there. Guys, something has got to give. I don't know what, but either do something about the criminals or loosen the restrictions for responsible people to arm themselves and protect their families. That's what I'm saying. Sorry for the rant, but as a parent, I am just sick of it. I'm sick of having to worry about my kids. I mean, even before they were in, when they were in elementary school, we didn't, you feel a little safer because, you're younger and maybe, you don't have to worry about this stuff in elementary school. But, I mean, they've only been like, what is it, a month now in middle school, and this has already happened. Gosh, guys, I'm just over it. I'm sick and tired of having to worry for my family. And I don't know. With all the stuff going around, all the threats on social media, the thing is that scares me is, people make these threats, but what about the schools that aren't being watched, that aren't on the hit list? They're very vulnerable because no one's keeping an eye on them while all these threats are being made at these other schools. That's kind of worrisome to me. If a threat is made to a school, then all schools in the county should be on lockdown. That's what I think. All right. So, with that being said, check out fattack.com for all your tactical needs. They have body armor for your kids to put in their backpack and keep them safe. There's a cat walking around. Do you see that over there? My cat's walking around in here. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. So the idea for this week's episode is I'm just going to play a classic episode that we did about the possible finding of the Lost Ark of the Covenant. It was a really good episode, and maybe some of you guys that are newer to the channel haven't checked this one out, but I think you guys will enjoy it. This is back before we changed to Image of the Invisible. This was AFK Discussions. So, guys, sit back, enjoy, and thanks for checking us out, and protect your family. Peace.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of AFK Discussions. It's your boy Ty, and as always, I'm joined by my boy Jason. What's up, buddy?
What up, man? Hey, it's been a crazy week, leading up to Easter. Easter's one of those holidays that gets me going because, if you're a Christian, this is kind of like the Super Bowl of, all Christian holidays. And I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah, our church is doing 2 services on Sunday, but I have seen quite a few churches just like driving through town whose services, they're doing like 4 services. I think Foothills, it's Foothills Church of God. I think there's like it's like a semi mega church like right outside of my neighborhood.
Yeah,
And I think they're doing 4 different services.
that's crazy.
Which is crazy. So I totally get that. We always go to the early service though.
Yeah.
That way, when everybody else goes to the 11 o'clock service, we can all go get a comfortable lunch. So
yeah, I feel that 100%. So I used to be a part of a church plant, and back in the day when it was first starting, you have to load in. You rent a space and you load all the equipment in every morning, and you unload it when church is over. Man, it was so hectic. So on Easter, it was extra hectic. Yeah.
No, my church, Hope Unlimited, used to rent out the Regal Pinnacle in Turkey Creek every Sunday. So I was never part of the team that helped load and unload everything for like praise and worship team and things like that. But definitely those people worked very, very hard during those times for sure.
Yeah. So I want to start off by saying, guys, if you haven't yet, go to Instagram and look up AFK Discussions, and please give us a follow on there. It would be awesome for us to be able to talk to you guys. You can find out more about what's going on in the show and just, hit us up, chat with us on there. Also, we have an email address, afkdiscussions@gmail.com. Hit us up on there. Just say, hey, what up, guys? If you have a story, I think it would be awesome to read you guys' stories on the air. I think that would be just a new dynamic of the show that could be really cool. So if you have something interesting, like something that happened to you, maybe you had breakfast with Bigfoot in a forest. I mean, that would be awesome. Maybe just write a short story about it. I want it to be truthful. Don't just make up a story like a creepypasta or something. But that would be something cool we could kind of do on here. I'll just test the waters of this. I haven't talked to Ty about it. I kind of mentioned something about it last week, and it's been storing in my brain. I just thought it could be a cool dynamic to get you guys, the listeners, involved with the show. But also, I'd like to give a shout out to Reaper Apparel. They've been with us since day one, and they're awesome company. So if you go check out reaperapparel.com, use discount code AFK Discussions, you can get 15% off. They've upped it from 10 to 15%, so you get a little bit more off your orders now. I have an awesome hat. If you see any pictures on Instagram, I'm always wearing the hat because it is epic, and I love it. So yeah, check out reaperapparel.com, and thanks you guys for listening to the show. And Ty, what do you think, man? Is there anything I missed?
I don't think so, guys. But 15% is kind of huge. I just want to kind of point out that, like, and me and Jason were actually talking about this before the podcast. Like, inflation and just the prices of pretty much everything right now is really crazy. So you guys going and supporting businesses, especially businesses that support us, is a huge deal because we know that every dollar counts right now, guys. Especially if you have kids, if you own a home. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, tonight we're going to be talking about biblical archaeology, and I want to say something. Preface this real quick by saying, we talk about a lot of supernatural stuff, and a lot of people are like, oh, the Bible, blah, it's not supernatural. And actually, the Bible is very supernatural. It's like as I heard one person describe it, as the guidebook to the supernatural, because pretty much angels, demons, witches, spirits, people walking on water. I mean, it's all in there. Like the future. I mean, it's it's in there. Everything supernatural is pretty much in the Bible. There's a talking donkey in there. I mean, that's how much more supernatural can you get than a talking donkey? So I'm not going to be telling everybody what to believe. I'm not going to be, as they say, proselytizing you to come to the Christian faith. But I just want to tell you some things that have been found across the world that kind of supports the Bible. And leading up to Easter, I think this is kind of an awesome, perfect time to talk about something like this. And we'll get back to some other stuff not biblically soon. Werewolves and all that good stuff that you guys love. But this is kind of my time to talk about something that's near dear to my heart. So okay, let's get started, man. So Ty, have you ever heard of Ron Wyatt?
No.
No, not many people have. So he's pretty famous without being known.
Sounds pretty famous because I've never heard of him.
I know, but I mean, it's crazy to think about this guy because he has found some of the most ridiculous finds in modern history that has gone unnoticed because the people out there who are not Christian are not going to be aware of this, but to us Christians, we know that sometimes when things like come out that maybe the Bible's true, that science kind of sweeps stuff under the rug and it doesn't get in headline news, and because a lot of people don't want people to know that things have been found that could support the Bible, because a lot of people don't believe in the Bible. But so back in the 70s, Ron Wyatt, he was a nurse, and I don't know exactly what he did, something else in the medical field, but he saw this satellite image from Turkey that showed a boat-shaped object in the mountains of Ararat. And so in the Bible, the biblical account of Noah, it says that when the flood receded, that the ark rested in the mountains of Ararat. It didn't say on Mount Ararat, because a lot of people have looked there. They're like, oh, it's not on the mountain. There's no evidence. But in the valley just below the mountain of Ararat, in the mountains, because it's a mountain chain, there's this boat-shaped object. So Ron went, and I think he took his two sons, and they went to Turkey, and they went looking for this ark. So the first thing they found was a giant stone with a hole cut in it. It's called a anchor stone. So these stones, what they would use in big, huge boats. So I'm not big on nautical things. So if I get something wrong, forgive me, and feel free to correct me. Send me a message on Instagram telling me how wrong I was. But also follow us if you're going to do that. They used to they used these stones to hang over the side of the boat to kind of level it out, in the waves and stuff. And I think they could lower them and raise them according to, the tilt of the boat to make it, even. So they found one of these giant stones, and then they found the remnants of a settlement. And then they found the ark itself. It is huge. And I think I'm going to misquote this because I don't have it right in front of me, but it is 500 feet long. I'm pretty sure is what the measurements were, but it is the exact cubit length. The cubit in referred to in the Bible is the exact length as this ark. So I mean, the dimensions in the Bible and the dimensions this vessel is exactly the same dimensions. And also, so I mean, this is giant boat-shaped object, yes. So they took and they scanned this object, and they found that there's compartments in it, there's timbers. It's definitely a boat. It's not just a boat-shaped object. And so the Turkish government, in I think it was 1982 or 83, recognized this discovery, and they made a visitor center for the ark. And also, during the ceremony, they asked Ron to scan the surface again. So he scanned the surface, and they found it timber, and they dug down, and they pulled out this petrified piece of wood, and they cut it and cross-sectioned it, and it shows that it is manufactured wood, which was manufactured from different pieces of wood and pitch, which pitch is made from sap from some tree. I can't remember what tree it is, but it was pretty much pressed wood together, man-made, and to prove that this is actually a structure and it's actually man-made. It's not just a natural formation, which is crazy to think, because I know with everyone trying to discount the Bible, and this is not fake. This is just saying the Bible's fake, and these are just stories made up by people. When you have something this big of an evidence, I mean, it's kind of it's mind-boggling to think about. I mean, what do you think about this, dude?
I think that it raises more questions than answers. So for me, Noah's Ark has always been I don't want to say a sore spot for me, but it's really been a spot where I've wanted to ask questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like in some Christian circles, you're kind of discouraged to ask questions, and then some you're encouraged to ask certain questions, and not others. And I know, like, depending on the denomination of Christianity that you're a part of, some Christians are very strict, some are not as strict. Um, and and I know that some Christians believe that the world is like 2,000 years old, right? And my question has always been with Noah's Ark is there's a few questions. So I'll lay them out, and we can kind of sort of go through them and talk more about the ark itself.
Okay.
So first question for me is, does Noah's Ark predate the first ice age?
So
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like, if so, right? If it predated the first ice age, then there would be some semblance of dinosaurs.
Okay, so I can answer that here in a second.
Yep. Second question is, let's the next question that I have is, the ark is only so big, so it can only hold so many creatures, animals, species, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, then does that mean that there's some truth to Darwin's theory of evolution? Because the animals that came from the ark, when they left the ark, they procreated, reproduced, evolved into different species of animals dependent on the region in which the animals decided to settle in.
I have answered that too.
Um, and the last question I have is, the location that Noah's Ark settled in, which is called, remind me of the name, I'm sorry.
Ararat.
Ararat. Where is that in the world?
It's in Turkey.
Is that in Turkey?
Yes.
Okay. And where in relation is that compared to where Noah's Ark was when the flood happened?
No one knows where the like Garden of Eden and that area was. It could have been anywhere.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So I want to run through some of these questions, and
Okay.
then I want to talk about area. I want to talk about where Noah's Ark was found. And I want to talk about the people who found it.
Hey guys, just real quick. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I know it in my post on Instagram. We will get into the Lost Ark of the Covenant too. This is a different ark. So just putting that out there. Okay. We're getting there. Okay, go ahead, man.
No. So let's go back to the first question then. Does the flood in Noah's Ark predate the Ice Age? If so, why were there no dinosaurs?
Okay. So, the Ice Age. I am not a scientist. Let me preface by saying this. This is speculation from me, right? And also some things I've heard from creationists, which if you don't know what a creationist is, they have a, God created the earth worldview. And there's different theories of creation. This is just one theory that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so Ice Age. I don't know 100% about the Ice Age, but there's a possibility that there was no Ice Age, right? Dinosaurs lived with man and were killed in the flood with the rest of the human population. So, like, there was only. Because, okay, so God created the earth, Adam and Eve, they populated. It got real bad. People killing people, worshiping other gods. God said, I've had enough of this. I'm killing everybody. Noah, his family, you guys are good. Build an ark. They built the ark. God flooded the world, and only 7 people remained and all the animals in the boat, right?
Yeah.
So, the Great Flood, all the evidence of the Ice Age could come from the flooding. Like, the million years of, like, if you imagine floodwaters, giant floodwaters, waves hitting land and carving stuff out. Water is very powerful. Imagine like if you have a what are they called? The things you clean with the power washers.
Pressure washer?
Yeah, pressure washers. Imagine like hitting dirt with that and carving water, carving canyons out and stuff like that. This water, a huge flood rushing in really fast, could carve water. I mean, carve stone and rock and, like that. Real quick. There's more details about that I don't know offhand. There's like actually scientific stuff to back these theories, but I'm like I said, I'm stupid. I don't know. I'm just a dude. I'm not a scientist. So floods, dinosaurs die, and some dinosaurs probably went on the ark. I'm not sure because there is legends of dragons, and I think that comes from somewhere. It does, I think dragons were a real thing. May have not been actual dragons; they may have been dinosaurs, and they just went extinct after the fact. But they could have been on the ark, because I mean the ark was huge. But they probably the one theory I heard, which best described how they got all the animals on the ark, was they didn't take full-grown animals; they took babies. If they take babies, you don't need that much space. You need less space, you know.
Sure.
So, did I get to everything I think there? That's just
So second question. So let's talk about
okay.
the second question. Second question is Darwin's theory of evolution. Do you think that there's some truth to Darwin's theory of evolution? Because obviously creationists don't believe in, not, I would say not all do, at least believe in this theory. But what about the animals when they got off the ark? Do you think there was some semblance of evolution based on the location the animals decided to settle in after they left the ark? If not, then let's go with that first, and
Okay.
then we'll get with the if not.
Okay. So there's microevolution, and then there's macroevolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always get them backwards. I am dyslexic, so I am not going to say which one is which, but I will. So there's two sides, right? So one of them means that a monkey can become a human, right?
Sure.
And the other one is one monkey can become all species of monkeys, right? That's the difference between micro and macro evolution. So they wouldn't have to take every dog, wolf, anything in the dog family, right? They would just
Sure.
take probably the ancestor was a dire wolf, right? They took
Mhm.
2 dire wolves. Those dire wolves bred and they adapted to their environments and became different breeds of wolves, came from 2 wolves. Not in that we see that happening today. You can take a pug and a poodle and have a pug-a-poodle or pug-doodle, something. So that kind of evolution happens. We can still see it happening today. But what we have never witnessed, and no one has ever witnessed, is, say, a alligator becoming an elephant. That's a completely different type of evolution. It still cannot be proven. It's still just theory because no one's witnessed it actually happening. You understand?
Sure. Yeah. Do you believe that's possible?
What, from a ape to a human?
Sure. Yeah. Macroevolution.
So what I believe is, I believe God created man and woman like from the dirt.
Sure.
So I don't believe that a monkey, we evolved from an amoeba to a lizard to a monkey to a human. I don't believe that.
Okay. Well, let's not take it that extreme then. Do you believe that a I don't know. Let's use a different example.
Okay.
Let's say not a monkey to a man. Let's say but you believe, obviously you believe a wolf can become a dog, all the way down to a pug.
Yeah.
So that leads me into my next question. This is kind of contradictory to what we kind of talk about on the show from time to time. Does that mean there were Bigfoots on the ark?
So no. Okay. Here we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, let's get into it then.
Okay, we're getting. I thought you said you didn't want the show to be over 2 hours.
Let's get into this, dude. I want to get into this.
All right. So, in Genesis, and also if you go back, there's a extra biblical book or non-canonical book called the Book of Enoch, also called the Book of Giants. It's actually referenced in the Bible, but they decided when whoever made the Bible, I can't remember who made the Bible or who put it together. I'm trying to remember what his name is. Guys, check me on this. I can't remember off the top of my head. There was a council that got together and decided we're going to put these books in the Bible, and these books are not going to be in the Bible, pretty much. So it's one of the books that was left out, but it is referenced in the Bible. Okay?
Okay.
So there were giants in the earth in those days. That's what it says in the Bible in Genesis. when the sons of men or sons of God laid with the daughters of men, they begot men of old, men of renown. That's what the verse says. I'm paraphrasing. So that is a cross species between angel human hybrids, okay?
Sure.
Which are called Nephilim. So these are, genetic I can't talk.
Abnormalities?
Yes, that word. So, no one knows why they look like they do. There's not described, but we do know they were really large, like 10, 15 feet tall, like creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the flood wiped those guys out. Boom, because they were abominations, right?
Okay.
So after the flood, there was a second incursion of angels that came down on Mount Hermon and also did the same thing with women and created another race of giants, which is where we get Goliath in the Bible. And also, there's there's a old book. It's not biblical. It's Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh. So Gilgamesh was a giant also, which is a lot of people think that story's true. A lot of people think it's not true, but I mean it's you should read it sometime. It's good. But so there's giants in the days, and also in Genesis it also said there was giants in the days, and also after that. So I mean they're talking about a race of giants that existed, and also if you read Exodus, whenever Moses is leading the Israel and the people of the Israelites to the promised land. When they get to the promised land, they're like, oh, we can't go in, there's giants. And so they go, and God just like, go and, you can take the promised land back. And they go and fight. Anyways, so there's giants throughout the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if these giants are still existing, Bigfoot is, an angel hybrid. I think Bigfoot would definitely fit in that category. So, and that, to me, that says that either there's giants like hiding out in the woods in America or somewhere, since the flood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which there's legends in Iraq about giants living in the caves. There, like all the people in Iraq know, or is it Afghanistan? I think it's Afghanistan. Know about these giants. They call them redhead giants, living in the caves in the mountains. And also, even if, say, there's no giants that survived, who's to say that angels couldn't, like fallen angels couldn't procreate again like they did in the biblical days and create these Nephilim again, right? Because one thing, so there's this thing called was it Bigfoot Genome Project, and they had DNA evidence, and so they went and they did a blind study with all these different universities, and they sent these samples out, and all of them came back with the same thing. It said DNA on the mitochondrial DNA, which is the mother's side, was human, but the rest of the DNA was unknown. Like there's like completely unknown on the DNA records. So human and unknown. So what is the unknown? Unknown could be angels. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what the DNA study said. So that's my long-winded, rambly answer to what I think.
So, do you think that that's applicable to all folklore creatures, such as Wendigo and werewolves and vampires?
So, yes, because it also says, I think in the Book of Giants, that these angels also sinned against all the creatures, which meant they were doing like gene manipulation, like creating chimeras. Um, yeah, you have to look at the Book of Giants. It's really good. It's very interesting. I don't know if it's um I mean, I think it's a worthy read. Because I think it should be part of the Bible if it's referenced in the Bible. But it talks about all this about how um Enoch was talking to the giants and about I, I don't it's been a while since I've read it, so I don't want to misquote anything. Essentially they're talking about gene manipulation of animals, and it's pretty crazy. But I mean, you could get your dog man there, you could get whatever. Also, if you think about it, who's to say that our powers that be in the world doesn't know this technology and are manipulating genes to make killing machines for the weapons, and one of these things escaped out of a lab and is prowling the woods, and that's where you get your dog man, or whatever. Who knows? I mean, there's gosh, so many theories. So
Well, assuming that your theory is correct, what if we are the children of Nephilim, right? What if we are not what God actually looks like?
so I don't
How
think
do you how do
that's
you prove well, how do you prove that though, right? Like that's 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 kind of where I'm getting caught up, right? That's the quandary or the crux of the whole thing is like how do we know that we are what God looks like, right? Because in the Bible it says we are made in God's image,
yep,
right?
yep.
Um, but who's to say that we doesn't refer to a different subspecies of human beings that looked more ape-like, and we are the children of Noah?
Okay, here we go. So, if you believe the Bible and God wiped out all the impurities and then Noah started back over, right? Then we would come from Noah, right? From his generations, from him and
Mhm.
his family. Um, which
But
all
you said the Nephilim reseeded the earth after the purge, right?
yeah, yeah,
Isn't that what you said?
yeah. I'm getting there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry
So
to interrupt you. Go ahead.
so we would come from there, right? From
Hmm.
Noah's lineage. So this is where it gets where a lot of people get like um weirded out, because Tiffany and I just went through this and we got weirded out, right? So there is a RH factor of blood, which is the negative RH negative blood type, which is people, they don't really know where it came from necessarily, and it's a very rare blood type. Tiffany has RH negative blood, and there's a lot of theories that that is a Nephilim bloodline. So there's that.
So Tiffany isn't made in the image of God.
No, that's not true.
Possibly, possibly.
Just because you have RH negative doesn't mean you're not in the image of God.
Well, I'm just saying. You're saying if it's possible that it's a Nephilim strand of DNA,
Yeah, but there's
then that
also
means she wouldn't be made in the image of God.
yeah, but it's not the image. You're still the image of God if you, because even because they would still come from the womb of a human, right? And the mother, controls most of the what the baby looks like, or what I don't know all the scientific stuff. Um, but also, even if there's still, after when Jesus died on the cross, he filled in a lot of gaps there. If you believe in Jesus, then you're covered by the blood and you're washed of all your sins. So it wouldn't matter anyways what blood type you are.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about the Ark and where it was found now.
Okay.
So, saying the Ark was discovered in 1980s.
It was actually in the 70s. It was recognized by Turkey in 1983, I think.
Okay. Found in the 70s.
Yep.
How come that this was never discovered prior, do you think?
Well, I mean, it was a satellite image, right? I mean, if you look at it, um, I mean, it looks like a boat-shaped object, but I mean, it also, I mean, you could be like, I don't know, it's probably just a rock formation, you know. Um, but it took someone to actually look at it and say, I think that's a boat, and actually go there and investigate to figure it out, right?
Mm,
Because they
interesting.
found it whenever we first put up satellites that could take pictures. That's how it was found.
Yeah.
And when you
Okay.
walk up on it, I mean, it's not going to look like a boat unless you're seeing it from like a bird's eye view.
Yeah, but still the formation would have been so strange. And that's kind of and that's here's another crux that I have with the story of Noah's Ark. Um let's say they landed in the Akarat Mountains, is that right?
Ararat.
Ararat. Sorry. Ararat Mountains. Um let's say they exit the ark
Yep.
and they go, "All right, time to repopulate the earth." Nobody knows it was there. Noah never told anyone. Noah's children and Noah's grandchildren and Noah's children's children never said anything.
Oh no, they knew it was there. People knew it was there back in the day. I mean, it just
But
over
what do you
time
think?
got
I
forgotten.
guess that's I guess where my question is. How long do you think it took for them to forget where the ark was until 1970 when it was discovered?
I mean, I don't. I mean, I think Josephus wrote about it, the Jewish historian.
When was that?
Um, gosh, I don't. I'd have to look it up.
Testing his knowledge.
Let's see. Josephus was. It was probably the 1800s. Um, uh, Josephus. I don't even know how to spell Josephus. Um, but yeah. Do you know who Josephus is, anyways?
I do not.
Okay, so he was a Jewish historian. Um, and he like wrote a lot about just like the biblical stuff that was going on. He could still see it in those days, and he was chronologically like writing it down so people wouldn't forget, right?
Okay.
I'm trying to find like when he wrote his, if my wife was here, she would be able to tell me everything, but I am not that good at remembering dates. So Josephus just he it was a long time ago, right? It wasn't in the 20th century, right? So
Yeah.
um 1800s probably, maybe even longer than that.
Okay.
Is when he wrote about it. Okay.
And this is just an additional question, last one, and then we'll move on to our next um, biblical archaeological discovery of the 20th century or the 21st century, either one. Um, and I I'm familiar with the story of Noah's Ark, but I don't know all of the finer details around the story. So this is my last question. When the ark landed,
Yep.
where did all the water go? Does the Bible say that God took back the flood, or
So the waters receded, and that's what, you know, okay, so you have to kind of imagine, right?
sure?
The earth had water, but it wasn't a huge amount, right? Most of the water was inside the earth. And you got to think where our oceans are now, the land didn't look like that, right? Which also this kind of explains Atlantis of
But
why it
didn't in
disappeared. Huh?
Genesis chapter 1 it says that God was on the face of the water?
Yeah. He created the earth on the water,
Okay.
which I'm getting to that.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay. So it had never rained ever until it flooded, right? So there was a firmament, which in Genesis, I don't have the Bible open in front of me, so it's like God, created the earth. He put the firmament, separated the waters above the firmament from the waters below the firmament. So there's a lot of speculation. The firmament was, a lot of people think it was an ice sheet that covered the earth, like around the earth. Like imagine where our I guess our atmosphere is now. That was a solid sheet of ice. Imagine that, right? Covering the earth. And that was waters above the firmament. And then waters below the firmament was the ones on the earth, right? Like where the land was. So when the flood came, the waters above the ice broke up and it turned to water because whenever it falls down, it's going to start melting in the atmosphere and it comes down and it starts raining. And then it also says the fountains of the deep broke open, which the fountains of the deep is the water under the earth broke open and came up. So you got water coming down, water coming up, and it's all flooding the earth, right? Which even today they found water under the crust of the earth. It was a recent find actually. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't quote it. I keep saying that, but I don't have it in front of me, so don't quote me on that. But some recent times they found waters underneath the crust of the earth. So, anyways, whenever it filled up the earth, it receded back, I guess, into its place, and the higher places were left, and then the water receded back into the earth. And then some stayed where the oceans are today, and some covered the a lot of land, because people go diving all the time and find like roads and stuff under the ocean. For one, Bimini Road in the Bahamas is one. It's a giant road just under the earth. Under the ocean. It goes on for miles. Also, the Legend of Atlantis. Giant civilization just swallowed up by water. Some of these places, did not make it after the flood. The waters didn't recede far enough down. It still covered their civilizations. So that's the short answer.
Okay. Oh, the medium answer.
Yeah, medium answer.
All right. That makes sense. All right. So what's our next biblical archaeological? Gosh, neither of us can talk
I
tonight.
know.
What is happening right now?
I know, right?
What's the next site? What's our next? Where's our next stop?
Okay, so all this is leading up because I'm trying to set you up to know who Ron Wyatt is and the stuff he's discovered. So the next thing he discovered was, I don't know if, are you familiar with the story of Exodus?
Let's assume I'm not.
Okay. So the Jewish people were enslaved in Egypt for a long time, right? So Moses was, a little baby. They put him in the river, and he was found by Pharaoh's wife, and she brought him in and took him in and raised him as her own son. And Pharaoh, he was set up to be the prince of Egypt. And then he saw a Egyptian guard like beating up a Jewish or an Israeli person, a Jewish person, and so he killed the guard, and so Moses was exiled. Well, he actually ran away from Egypt and like exiled himself, and then God told him to go back and set his people free. So he went back and told Pharaoh, let my people go, and Pharaoh said no. So God sent all these plagues upon Egypt, and finally, after all these plagues, Pharaoh said, take them and go. So Moses took all of the remnant, and they left, heading out away from Egypt towards the promised land, which was a land that had been promised to the people. So that's the story of the Exodus in short of how they got out of Egypt, right? So now they're moving along and they're going towards the Red Sea, and it's pretty much incrossable. So so Pharaoh's like, okay, I changed my mind. Go and kill all these people. So he sends all of his chariots and horses and all of his guards to go and kill these people because they he changed his mind. He's like, no, I'm not having you. I don't need my slaves back, right? So they get there and to the Red Sea, and God tells Moses to raise his staff up, and he would cause the sea to part, and they would walk through on dry land, right? So here comes Pharaoh's chariots and stuff. So here the people of God are going through this dry land, and you got to imagine there's hundreds of feet of water on each side, and they're going through, and Pharaoh's chasing them, and here they come. They're going through the dry land, chasing them. So the people of God go through, and they get back on the other side. When they get through the other side, Moses takes his hands down, and the waters come in and flood and kill Pharaoh's chariots and horses and everyone, right? So people were like, oh, that couldn't happen. So let's say it could happen the Reed Sea, not the Red Sea. So the Reed Sea is only about a few feet deep, right? I mean, if God parted the Reed Sea, that's not really some great miracle, right? To part a few feet of water. But if you parted the Red Sea, hundreds of feet of water, that's pretty miraculous, right? So Ron Wyatt, he said God told him to go check out this certain area. So they go down and they're looking at this area. There's like a beachfront. There's only one area is like a beach, and then he notices, like, when he's flying over in a plane, like surveying the area, that the water's shallower in one area. So they land and they drive over there, and they discover that there's a natural land bridge in this one part of the Red Sea. So it's actually called the Gulf of Aqaba, and it's back in the day it was all called the Red Sea, but now they've changed the name. So this is the Gulf of Aqaba, which is still part of the Red Sea. So he goes there and he finds this natural land bridge, which is still like hundreds, would still be like about 100 feet of water. Like, imagine like a 3-story building, right? So they decided to dive down and see what was there. So they got on their diving gear. They go and they dive, and they're swimming around, and they're like, oh, look at these formations here that are it looks awfully a lot like a chariot wheel. So they swim over and they see all these remnants of chariots on the ground, and they're like, this is crazy. Look, this is like 100% proof. And also, not only did they find chariots, they also found horse hooves down there, which, or horse hoofs are like our fingernails. They don't really, over thousands of years, it's still gonna be there. So that's crazy. They found obviously the wood is rotted away, but they found the metal parts to the chariots. They found chariot wheels. They found gold crusted chariot wheels also, which are like for the more like captains of the guard or whatever would have the all metal gold chariot wheels. They found human remains down there. It's crazy. They took metal detectors down there, and they scanned it, and they're like, yeah, this is definitely metal. And it's crazy. If you just do a search for Red Sea crossing and Ron Wyatt, you'll see the pictures. It's awe-inspiring to see this, because it's just another. There's no way. Why would a bunch of chariots be in the middle of this area? There's no reason for it. Not only just chariots, they're Egyptian chariots, and this is pretty far away from Egypt. So it's pretty crazy.
So was this discovery made before or after the discovery of Noah's Ark?
It's after.
After. So did he say, you know what? I found Noah's Ark. Let's go see if I can find it. Is that the like the premise of his exploration, looking for these archaeological sites?
Well, he said he was told by God to go find these sites to strengthen people's faith.
Interesting. So, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding the story. So in the story, you're saying that. I, by the way, the story of Exodus is like one of the most famous stories in the Bible. You know, Moses talking to the burning bush and not wanting to follow God's wishes and lead the people out of Egypt. Um, One of my favorite stories in the Bible, honestly. But are you saying that Moses didn't part the Red Sea, that they actually crossed a land bridge?
No, no. So there's a land bridge, but it's just not thousands of feet deep like the rest of the Red Sea. It's
Mm,
only hundreds of feet deep, right? And it's flat. I think on the documentary I watched, it said, this is the crazy part. It says it's a natural ramp down and then back up to the other side. And if you took it to any like the world, they have like a tolerance, a guide for wheelchair ramps,
mm-hmm.
the angle it has to be at. If you took the angles on this and you put it in the parameters, it would be the exact same as the international guidance for a wheelchair ramp. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So were they able to predate some of the materials that they discovered, or I say predate? That was the wrong expression.
Like
Were
carbon
they
date.
carbon date? That's what I mean. Were they able to for sure say, okay, this looks like it would be about that time period?
So they have not, because there's a huge sign right there, because this is in Saudi Arabia, and it
Okay.
says you are not allowed to take anything from the sea. They've been trying to get it, but Saudi Arabia won't let them excavate it all. But there is, I mean, it is, from what they can see, it is the style of the chariot wheels from Egypt. They're, you know, in that,
That's
what they look like. If you can go to a museum in Egypt and look at the chariot wheel and go there, they're exactly the same.
I wonder why Saudi Arabia wouldn't let people take that sort of thing. Because I would assume that uh, there the main religion is
It's Islam.
yeah, Islam, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to strengthen the Christian faith, I guess.
Well, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That hmm. Again, this raises more questions than gives me answers.
Okay, so let's continue along with this.
Okay.
So the Exodus didn't stop there, right?
Yep.
So
The promised land is Israel, right?
yeah.
Okay. Let's keep rolling.
So if you keep on going the route that they went, so they went to the Mount Sinai. Is it Mount Sinai? I want to say, yeah, Mount Sinai. So that's where Moses goes up and he gets the Ten Commandments. And the Bible describes Mount Sinai as being covered in like flames at the top. And so there is, if you read like maps and stuff, it says Mount Sinai is somewhere else, right? Close to the other crossing that they think the Reed Sea. But if you look in Saudi Arabia, there is another one. I'm not going to pronounce this, guys. I'm not going to pronounce this right. English and bad English is the only two languages I speak. It's something like Jebel Allah. It means mountain of laws, which mean, Ten Commandments, laws that, God gave Moses. So that's what the mountain is called in Saudi Arabia. So if you go there, the top of the mountain is black, like it's been burned, right? Also, when Moses was up getting the Ten Commandments, the people kind of went crazy and started worshiping cows and stuff and golden altars. And if you go there, there's like cows carved in the walls and like graffiti of people worshiping cows and I think other like paintings and like uh I don't I guess it would be hieroglyphs. I don't know if they did Paleo Hebrew was the language they were written language. I don't know. But anyways, there's written language there also to kind of go along with this.
Jason, I think we lost you.
Nope, I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
You didn't lose me. I was here the whole time.
Oh, well, I lost you on my end.
Okay, I'm still here. So, what did you hear last?
So you were talking about Paleolithic?
Yeah. So, yeah, Paleo Hebrew language. I don't know if that was exactly what was written or if it was the Egyptian hieroglyphs, but there was language there. Also, if, the story goes, that the Israeli people or the Jewish people, they were like, we're thirsty, we don't have enough water, so God told Moses to strike the rock, and the rock split open and water gushed out of the rock, right? That part of Exodus. So they found a rock that split open, and there's definitely like you can see where a river ran from it, but there's no riverbed on the opposite side, just on the one side coming out of the rock. They found that, which is crazy.
Is it a river or is it more like a creek?
It's probably more like a creek.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's
Yeah, because they use these big flashy, the river gushing from the rock, and I'm thinking, was it a river though?
Yeah, but I mean, they found that you can see a rock that's split open, and it's it's there, which is crazy. But that's pretty much the end of that excavation or the end of that archaeological bit of Exodus.
So did he? So did he have? I want to say I don't think permission's the right way to say this. But did he have the support of the countries that he was visiting to like sort of seek out these answers? Right, because you would my thought process is like I would think that these countries would have had some sort of interest in these things as well, right? Especially, let's say, even after he made the discovery, what were those countries doing to sort of either submit his discovery or disprove his discovery? Um, because you got to think like as far as like for the Christian faith, these are pretty big deals,
Yeah.
right? Especially like this is proving that I don't want to say parts of the Bible are real, right? But like proving that there is physical evidence to support the Bible's claims on X stories or X books in the Bible.
Yeah. So Turkey acknowledged it. They made the visitor center for Noah's Ark. As far as Saudi Arabia, I don't think they acknowledged it at all, and academia didn't acknowledge it. The only way you can find any information about this is to go to his museum or his website, or if you look up stuff on the internet about this. There's other people who have gone after him and seen these and have made videos about them, but they're not recognized by academia or any of the governments as being factual because they don't want to strengthen the belief in the Bible.
Do you think that that's part of some greater agenda that they have against the Christian faith, or do you think it's against our region in particular, since the West is mostly Christian? I'm asking, I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why do you think that would be a thing?
Well, I mean, Saudi Arabia is an Islamic country, and
Sure.
I don't think. I mean, so is Islam and Christianity are like brother religions because they both came from the same person. So, do you know the story about Esau and Jacob?
Yep.
Okay, so Esau became Islam and Jacob became the Jewish people. But anyway, so they all, both believe in the same God, but they're, drastically oppose each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think there's some grudge there still. I mean, obviously there is because it's been going on for centuries.
Right.
And I think that may be one of the reasons that maybe the countries don't want to recognize it. And I know you said the West is predominantly Christian. I mean, at one time it was, but it's Christian faith is actually a lot of people think oh yeah, Christianity is huge. I mean, it's dwindling. It's not as big as it used to be. There's a lot of people leaving the faith every day. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's basically to disprove the Bible. They don't want proof to come out. I mean, I strongly believe that.
Was this his last major discovery?
Nope.
Oh, so there's much. Is there much more, or is this like?
No, there's
is there
only
much more? Is there,
there,
or is there just more?
no. There's only one more. And this is the most controversial. And it's probably my favorite. And this is this whole thing is why I wanted to do this before Easter, because it has a lot to tie in with Easter. So Lost Ark of the Covenant. What do you think about that, man? Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. I know you still haven't watched it, and Phil is very upset with you about it.
He'll have to take it up with me when he comes into town.
That's right.
In a couple of weeks. Man, I kind of don't know what to think, to be honest. Man, I don't know. I feel like there's so many things that as a Christian you want to believe in, and then things that you can't prove, and I'm a see it to believe it kind of guy. And what do you think?
The Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah.
Like, did it exist? Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah. Give me your take.
Okay, so it kind of goes along with Exodus, right? So after all that, after the Ten Commandments, God said, make a box, put the Ten Commandments in the box, and there's other things that went in the box also. I'm not going to go into all that. But so they built this box and they carried it with them. And it said, whenever they carried, they would be unbeatable in battle when they carried the ark with them. So the ark went to Jerusalem and was in the temple. I think it's Temple of Solomon, right? And that's what it's called. And then Israel or Jerusalem was invaded, and the ark disappeared, right? And no one knows where it went.
I have it. It's in my closet.
You have.
I'm unbeatable.
There's
Do not challenge me.
There's a lot of theories about what happened to the ark. There's one big theory that the Queen of Sheba came and her son came and got it and brought it back to Africa. Because I think it was Queen of Sheba and Solomon had relations, and her son was, I guess, Solomon's. I don't know. I'm not getting into all that because I don't really know that story off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Anyways, so that's one of the theories. My favorite theory is that there's tunnels underneath Jerusalem, and they took the ark and they hid it in the tunnels. Right. So, Ron Wyatt, he's in Israel, right?
Yeah.
Touring Jerusalem. He's at Golgotha, which is the place of the skull where Jesus was crucified. He's standing there, and this is in his own words. He said, I think people who do this are crazy. And even after this happened to me, I still think people that do this are crazy. But he said I was standing there and I didn't move my body, but my body moved. And I pointed and I said, that's where the Ark of the Covenant is. He said, God, showed him. So this place is called Jeremiah's Grotto. And he asked for permission to dig. And the Israeli government, which isn't big on giving people permission to dig there, gave him permission. And so he started excavating, digging tunnels, and he found a bunch of chambers. And so they're going through there, and he said that there was a guy he knew that owned a restaurant, and he was a little man, like very petite and like 5 feet tall. And he was helping him excavate by crawling through some of the tunnels that he couldn't make it into. So the guy crawled into this one tunnel and started screaming and crawled out and said, "What's in there? What's in there?" And pretty much ran out of the cave. So Ron was like, like what is going on? So he took his flashlight and looked in there, and then he crawled in there best he could, and he started shining his light around, and he saw glimpses of gold. And so he crawled all the way in there, and he started moving these rocks around, and he sees all these artifacts from the temple, Solomon's temple, which was destroyed, and all the stuff that they hid. Like there's the menorah, there's the table of showbread. I think that's the only two he referenced. And then he saw this giant box, and he said that he crawled up, and it was only like inches from the ceiling, the top of the box, but it was broken open. And he said he's shone his light up there, and he saw this. He said a brown like substance covering the top, and then he passed out. And he woke up like 40 minutes later. And he came out and he told everyone what he saw. And so he went back. I think he went back once or twice. There's supposed to be a film that's he took in the cave, but no one has ever seen it except for one guy who came out and said that he saw it. But apparently they're holding on to it. They don't want people to see it for some reason. I don't know why. But okay, so this is the big thing, right? This is why I wanted to do this at Easter. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready? Do you have any questions before we go on?
No. So wait. Actually, yes. So are we running under the assumption that he found the Ark of the Covenant?
Yes.
Okay. That's the only question I had. Just continue.
Okay. So, this box that was broken open on the top, right? Had this brown substance on it. This box was directly under the crucifixion site of Jesus, right?
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's where this stuff was found. I mean, they did the map, and it's directly under, right? So the significance of this is that whenever they were in the wilderness, they would use the Ark of the Covenant to do blood sacrifice. So if those who don't know, they used to do blood sacrifice to repent of their sins, and they would put the blood on the Ark of the Covenant, right? So the significance of it being there in the brown liquid that's on there, it was not liquid anymore, it's brown, remnant, is that whenever Jesus was crucified, right, nailed to a cross, and
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional right now.
You're fine, man. Take your time.
He's nailed to this cross, right? And the Roman guard pierces his side with a spear, and all this blood rushes out. It goes down the cross, and whenever Jesus dies, there was an earthquake in Jerusalem, and it cracked the wall behind where the cross is. It's I think it's still there. I think you can still see the crack, but also it cracked the foundation stone where the cross was in, and it cracked the box that the Ark of the Covenant was in. So the blood of Jesus ran down and landed on the Ark of the Covenant to make the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice for our sins to God.
Dude, that is. This is one of those things like you can't even. I feel like you can't even make this kind of stuff up.
Yeah. So here's the cover up. So when Ron told the Israeli government, they quickly walled up the area that he dug in. There's another entrance. It's in Zechariah's cave, which is on the other side. But there's another entrance there into those caverns. But the significance of them covering this up is so for end time prophecy, for the return of the Messiah, Revelations. So some things have to happen, right? So Israel has to become a nation again, which has happened. The Ark of the Covenant has to be found. They have to have a red heifer to sacrifice without blemish. They have to have. I think Solomon's temple has to be rebuilt, which actually they're trying to do right now in Israel. They have plans, and they're just trying to find the logistics of how you could build this temple whenever the Dome of the Rock is on the Temple Mount, and that's the holiest site for Islam. But the documentary I watched, there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I was here when Ron found it, and this is the place, and the Israeli government knows that this is the place. And if you look back, and I think it's Josephus' notes, he talks about that the ark was hidden in caves underneath Jerusalem. There's a lot of people that talk about the caves. That's everyone knows that it wasn't lost; it was hidden in caves. Like
right.
Historians know, yeah, like Jewish historians, like, yeah, we know it's down there. It was hidden in caves. It was never lost. So, I mean, there's just a lot of implications. I mean, in because I heard this story a long time ago, right? Maybe early 2000s. And I was not in a good place at that time. I believed in God, but I wasn't going to church or anything. And I mean, it just blew me away. It just kind of strengthened my faith, and showed me that yes, the Bible is real. I mean, look at all this evidence. But the fact that because there's a lot of people that don't believe Ron found the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing that he did. So I mean, it's no one's seen it except for him. So and he went to his deathbed swearing that he found it, and where it was. And I mean, I don't know. I think if you're a Christian and you have a strong faith, you're not going to go and lie about something like that especially on your deathbed,
Right.
I mean, it's just if if it's true, and that is, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's God's plan to have the ark right where it needed to be for, Jesus' blood to land on it.
I think the only complication I can see um, with this whole series of events is it's one man discovering all these things. And that would kind of put into question for me is like, is all this really true? Is part of this really true? Because then it really comes down to what if he was wrong about one thing or not lied, but strayed away from the truth just a little bit on another thing, right? Then it calls into question the validity of everything,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
But like I said, there's other people, all the other archaeological sites. There's other people that have verified it.
yeah. How old was he when he died?
Gosh, 60s or 70s.
Oh man, that's not that old.
He had cancer.
Yeah, dude. The older I get, the more I'm like, man, 60 years old. That's so young, man. What
Yeah.
the heck? So interesting.
Yeah, dude, it's a great story nonetheless, if you believe it or not. I mean, it'd make an awesome movie, for real.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd watch it tomorrow.
But guys, check out Ron Wyatt, and I think it's called Wyatt Museum or Wyatt Ark, Wyatt Archaeology Research. They actually, outside of Nashville, Tennessee, they have a museum you can go and check out. But there's a lot more information than I gave you on there. I mean, a lot. I just barely scratched the surface of the information that's in here because I'm bad at. I have a bad memory. I'm very ADD, so yeah.
Well, guys, remember too, like we're not here to give you we're here to give you our opinions and our thought process and sort of get you thinking. But as always, we encourage you to take any of the material that we go over on this podcast, go research it yourself. If you find any any faults in our stories, or if you find more information, we'd love to hear from you guys. Like Jason mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, hit us up on our Instagram, message us on Instagram. We have a Gmail account, afkdiscussions@gmail.com. We'd really, really love to hear from you guys. But as always, we really encourage you guys to go look this stuff up and sort of form your own thought process and hypothesis and your own beliefs around the stuff that we talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, guys, like I said before, this, I'm strong in my faith, and I'm a Christian, and but just because I'm a Christian, it's not saying that I'm looking down on you because you believe something else. We're here at AFK Discussions. We're here to talk about everything. So, if you believe that Bigfoot is an angel that talks to you in your dreams, cool. That's awesome. Let's talk about it, So.
Well, Jason, listeners, I think that's it for tonight.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that wraps it up, man.
I guess that wraps it up. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to AFK Discussions. Again, go check out Reaper Apparel, reaperapparel.com. Use code AFK Discussions. Get that juicy 15% up by 5%, 15% discount, and support those guys. They've been supporting us. Don't forget to give us a like and a follow. If you like the content, leave an awesome review for us. If you don't like the content, don't leave a bad review. I'm just kidding. We love all reviews that we get, guys, and anything that we can do to make this podcast better, we'll take it in consideration. Jason,
yo,
sir, have a good night, man.
All right, man. You too.
See ya.
Peace.
shadows where the day